is where the Hebrew home is. For where the heart is, that's where you find the Hebrew home. Hebrew home, Hebrew home. Good morning, Hebrew home. My home, my heart is where the Hebrew home is. For where the heart is, that's where you find the Hebrew home.
Welcome to Good Morning Hebrew Home. I am your host, Olivia Cohen, coming in live from the Dorfner Judaica Museum here at the Hebrew Home. And this is Good Morning Hebrew Home, our special edition of our 50th episode. And I am joined by all of our hosts here.
Hi everybody.
Hello! Welcome, welcome.
Why don't we share a little bit about what it was like to start the show and bring guests on and talk to some of our guests that we have on the show today. Is that a good place to start?
Terrific.
Well, I think the idea of having a theme song, which I think was your idea, was a very clever idea to have a nice way to start each show. And, Larry, I guess, was your first guest. I don't know if he's your clip or not, but you had him write the song, which is our theme song, which I kind of like hearing all the time.
It sticks in your head.
Yeah,
That's
it's
just
kind of,
yeah,
when you hear
it's
something
your word.
repetitively, I mean, I liked it from the start. I like it when you sang it just a few minutes ago, too.
A
You
little
want
behind the
to knock out a
scenes.
couple of bars for us?
Good morning, Hebrew home.
No, I think it's really nice.
Wow.
And it was a really nice idea to throw in the front of the show.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I definitely think it is something that everyone, once they hear, they know the show's coming on and it's time to watch.
And Wendy and I were talking last week. I ran into a few of the residents outside, and they were talking about the show. And it's kind of fun to walk around and see people referencing things they saw, or commenting on things, or asking about how to send in mail. I think it's sort of catching on for everybody a little bit.
And we so appreciate you guys watching. We're here for you, and the fact that you're watching, that just makes us all happy.
And we're headed to a phase now, I think, all of us, where we want to involve residents to sit in the chairs with us and be our guests. That's our original concept that we all have, is to feature all of you and your stories and your great histories and be able to share those with your family. We did a little bit of internal stuff to get through the times when it's a little bit harder to get people off the floors. But we've interviewed each other several times. We know each other very, very well.
I think we're on repeats now.
But Liisa and I have not interviewed each other yet, and there could be a special two-part crossover episode coming.
Oh, I hope so.
Crossover.
That's an event.
I
That's
like
a TV
it.
event.
I like that.
Yeah.
I see that on Chicago Fire and PD. We got our own little thing going on.
It's going to be exactly like that, but just on Good Morning Hebrew Home.
Can't wait.
Yeah. I think, it really speaks to one of the things I've found to be really exciting about the show, which is the interviews, getting to know people and finding, how much of a connection they have to the residents in every single department,
And also their hidden talents.
Yes.
And that, I think, for me, that's been the most interesting aspect, to see Joanne DeVito with the paper flowers.
She made our sets of paper flowers.
Or Maria with the horticulture.
Yes, that was so cool.
Or
You with the baking.
the
Oh, me. You were talking to me.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
David with the photography.
right.
Yes, that's true.
So that's been really fun.
Olivia singing. Oh, you didn't sing that.
I haven't
But you do sing.
I do sing, so they said.
Maybe in a future episode you'll sing for us.
Maybe.
Well, we're going to share our favorite moments from the show, but we would certainly love to hear what your favorite moments are too. So maybe you can give us a call, 2813, right? And tell us what your favorite episode was or your favorite aspect of the show. We would definitely love to hear about that. So should we go to our clips?
I think that's a great idea.
That is a good idea. It feels right.
It feels like the moment.
Do you want to go first since you're our lead host?
Did you have two clips because you have two hosting gigs each week, or did
I
you only pick one?
I only picked one, and this one really stuck out to me just because it was months of planning and trying to get this guest on the show, and the guest was the birds, and specifically Yunga, the white bird that we have here, and Rosario. It was really hard to get on the show and coordinate that, and we finally did it, and it was just so great to see them on the show and to hear how much Rosario loves and cares for the animals that we have here. I think that as an organization, we just love animals so much, and we see how important they are, that connection, and I also love animals myself, so that was really exciting to have them all here on the show.
Well, what a great reflection of somebody who takes their job and makes more of it, right?
Yes.
Rosario was not hired to take care of this. He's a loyal and hardworking member of our housekeeping team.
Yeah.
But this is just a passion of his, and he took it on, and he's helping us with bird feeders outside. He's got all kinds of things going on, and it's a passion of his. And what a great place to work, where your passions, although they're not part of your everyday gig, can be explored and utilized.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that stood out to me from that interview was that he really cares about the animals so much because it brings so much joy to the residents. And that was really lovely to see, because the residents, and you guys know from seeing the birds here and the fish and all of that, you guys connect so much with those animals. So that was my favorite.
Yeah, that was a great episode.
So let's take a look at that clip with Rosario and the birds that we have here, and hope you enjoy.
So this is Yonga. Come here, Yonga. Come on. Come on, baby. Come on. Well, she was donated to us about a year ago, and she speaks Spanish because our owner was Spanish. But since she's been here, she learned quite a bit of English now, with all the residents talking to her every day, playing music and everything. So
she's bilingual.
Yeah.
Wow.
She speaks both languages. And she's a good bird, and I'm just trying to get a little closer to her, because in the beginning she wouldn't let me touch her, but now she's pretty attached to me. And so soon I want to get her out of the cage so she can start walking around with me at the Hebrew home.
Mm-hmm. One of the questions that somebody had asked here earlier in the studio was like, what does it mean when the feathers in the top goes up? What does that mean when she's doing that?
She's either excited or she's maybe feel a little threatened with, depends.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the time when she does that with me, she's just excited. All right, come here, baby. Come here.
She is talking a little bit. I don't know if anyone can hear that, but she is talking a
Come
little
on.
bit. Oftentimes we can hear her in our recordings for this show, because she's right out here in the winter garden outside of the museum. So,
You want to talk, Yonga? You don't want to say nothing? Come on. You want to take a walk? Come on. She's got to get used to people and all of us.
it's her first time on camera, but it looks like we're getting some really good
You're
shots
doing
of her.
good.
It
You're
looks
doing good
great.
on camera. Good girl. Good girl. All right.
Good job, Mama.
Yeah, so
You're beautiful.
she's been doing pretty good here. She's gained a little weight since she's been here.
That's good.
And we give her a bath every couple of days, and and she's pretty good.
And I've seen a lot of times we've been bringing the birds outside to get like some fresh air at this time.
Yeah, this is.
And they really start to sing when they go outside.
Yeah, they're tropical birds, so they really like it outside.
Yeah. Especially when it's humid.
So I try to get them out there as much as I can.
It's great. And I know that we also get stuff from food service sometimes, like some lettuce and some different kinds of
we get
like
fruits and
fruits and
from them.
vegetables. These birds are well taken care of and loved. And they all have pet visits to the vet, and they all are followed after.
They're all well taken care of. Yeah, they get pet visits and everything.
That's wonderful. Should we move over to these guys over here? Can you get them out?
Mm-hmm.
So this is the peach-faced lovebird, and this is the one that I found outside in the back lawn that I took home with me, and that's his wife in there. And she never comes out, she's shy. She might have an egg in there, maybe, I don't know. And these three here are their kids. And their kids are gonna have some more kids.
There are eggs in there, you were saying?
Yeah, they got 5 eggs in this nest here.
Oh, bless you.
And we're just waiting for them to hatch.
So exciting.
Yeah, these lovebirds, they're very nice. They're good, friendly birds to have.
And it's really also, I think, a lot of the residents too. It's so exciting to see birth and new life when the babies are hatching, and then we can see them grow. Like the doves, they grew into chickens in like 2 weeks. They were
Yeah, wow.
they were big.
They grew really fast.
Yeah, these are also wonderful.
Yeah,
Before we go, I want to ask: is there anything that you want to say to the residents? I know some are up on their floors and can't really make it down. But if there's anything you want to say to them, because they're watching.
well, I hope that these animals bring you all happiness, and I'm going to continue to take care of them, and they'll always be down here for you guys to see them anytime you want. And I'm around. If you have any questions about them, you could always ask me, and they'll always be okay. while I'm here.
My clip is actually one where I wasn't the host, I was the guest on Wendy's Wendy Wednesdays.
I'm so honored.
Yes. It was really fun. She invited me on to talk about my baking that I've been really getting into during this time, and I got to share some of the food. And one of the things I thought was really lovely about that was getting to be on the other side of it, getting to see what the experience is of being a guest, and then of course making you all eat food that I made.
Oh, and it
That
was
was-
so
And some of us
good.
got, the other day, I got some myself, which
That's
was
right.
quite good.
I saved some
But
for
you know,
you.
you said something that's interesting to me, is because making the guests comfortable as hosts is really what we're trying to do. And I've been very impressed. I mean, I think we were all doing a nice job, but more so in the people that have really risen, who are not used to being in front of a camera, who aren't really looking for this. We've asked to come on some people who would never do this before, in areas where they're not in front of forward speaking kind of things. And I think, all in all, they've been terrific, right?
Yeah.
Our
Oh,
guests
yeah.
have really risen above.
And enjoyed the experience, I
Yes.
think, too.
Absolutely. They go home and they have their families watch it on YouTube. And I think it's been kind of cool. And I'm hoping that's what the residents do. I hope that they're really excited and their grandchildren are watching and so forth.
Absolutely.
That'll be a lot of fun.
I think something that's so funny to me is a lot of times, I guess because we're used to this set, I don't see it as being intimidating. And so often when we have a guest come on, they're like, oh my gosh, this is a real TV show.
Yeah.
And it really feels like pretty official once we're setting up mics and lights and all of this behind the scenes work. And then
real deal.
people, we just get to see them kind of open up on screen, you know, and it's just a really casual thing that we get to share with the residents.
And Allison, I think you've done 49 or 48 of the 50. Have you done, is that about right?
Yeah.
Close to that,
I
yeah.
think we hosted, stopped you at the gate once and we'll let you in.
I made that show.
Did you? And David Finkelstein, who's been, you know, behind the scenes, helping us with technology from the first moment. It's been great. It's been a great team effort to do it. As you mentioned before, I don't think I'd edited this version or not because we're live, but the lights and all the professionalization of this space has been really cool.
Yeah.
Did you introduce your clip? 'Cause
I
think-
didn't yet, no.
Okay.
But let's take a look.
Let's share with our viewers what you created for us today.
So, I brought 3 things today. I brought some sourdough bread. This is partially whole wheat and bread flour bread on a 1-day full rise.
Wait, what does that mean?
So-
Layman's terms. We've got culinary words here. Okay.
So sourdough bread is bread that's made not with like instant yeast or regular yeast. It's made with wild yeast and bacteria from our environment. So I know it sounds
So what
kind
does
of
that
crazy.
mean? Where do you get the bacteria from?
So you make what's called a sourdough starter. You just add flour and water, and then within the flour and in the air, there are yeast and bacteria that just live in the environment. And after time, they feed on the yeast and create bubbles, and it rises. And so that's the rising. It's the wild yeast.
Okay.
So, but because it's wild yeast and not factory produced, it takes a lot longer.
How long does it take?
So it can take anywhere from 1 to 3 days. People will do, will rise things even longer, but that's what creates the really great taste. So it's really like a kind of fermentation. So, like wine, if you let wine ferment for a long time, it really gives it a beautiful taste. So just like bread, you wouldn't want to let your bread ferment for as long as you do wine, but if you let the bread ferment, that's what builds the sour taste. So it's the bacteria, when they eat, what they create helps create the flavor in the dough.
So how long did that sourdough sit for?
So this one I started cooking on Saturday night, and then I baked it on Monday night. So that's, so 2 days. And
Okay, and what's that?
And so these are digestive biscuits. So these are a whole wheat and wheat germ, like salted shortbread cookie with a milk chocolate cover.
Yum.
And then I brought some cardamom granola as well that I made.
Cardamom is?
So cardamom is a spice that's really popular in both Indian cooking and in Finnish cooking. So my background, my mom's side of the family is all from Finland. So one of the things I brought some pictures is cardamom bread. So this is called pulla. So it looks a lot like challah. You might, if you can see there, the braided style looks very similar to challah. And it's similar in that it is a yeasted enriched dough, but this one has like sugar on top. And cardamom is kind of a floral spice. It's kind of hard to describe, but when you taste it, you go, oh yes, I've tasted that before.
You didn't make those, though, did you?
Oh yeah, I made
Now
those.
look at that. That looks like professionally made.
Thank you.
Wow, that's so impressive.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Do you have more pictures? or-
Yeah, I have a couple more pictures on there too of other things.
Ooh.
That's an olive oil cake with lemon and rosemary.
Oh, yum. That
Yeah,
sounds good.
that was very good. Those are peanut butter brownies that I made.
Oh, my.
Yep. And those are blueberry muffins that I made.
Yum.
Yeah.
Did you
And
ever-
then back.
Did you ever think about being a baker?
No. I'm not. I'm still very much an amateur. I mean, I appreciate your compliments, but there's
Yeah.
so much that goes into cooking. One of the things that really inspires me actually is watching shows with cooking.
Okay.
So I've been watching like British Bake Off
Okay.
or Bon Appetit YouTube channel has a lot of cooking shows too. If you can watch that.
So do you watch those like Gordon Ramsay, like Hell Kitchen things?
Yes, I have watched those in
I
the
don't know how to
past
say that
too.
on the same video, but okay. Hell Kitchen.
Yes.
So do you enjoy those too?
I do. I like all cooking programming basically. I think it's so interesting because I think also, food is how we care for each other. Food is how we show that we want to take care of someone else. And so one of my favorite things to do is to cook something and share it with someone, or to cook for somebody, or to bring them some food, because I think it says, I was thinking about you and I want you to enjoy this. You know?
Absolutely.
Well, welcome back. And it's time, I think, for my clip.
Yeah.
Since I'm in nobody else's clip, I'll be in my own clip, which kind of like sitting at the table by yourself in the lunchroom or something.
Oh,
They're
we're
all
playing the
sharing each
little
other's
violin
clips.
now for 'em.
Well, I chose a clip of Wendy, because Wendy's my work best friend. And she gets very annoyed when I say it, and that's why I say it often. Like when she comes up with ideas like the seminar or the webinar that we do each week, which she told me today she's tired of me talking about, which maybe you want to talk about it more.
Wow.
But I always have a lot of fun with you in all parts of our professional work. We do a lot of important, stressful things, but we find a way to get through it all and laugh a little bit.
Absolutely.
And I think that carries over nicely to the show, because whenever I've been on your show or you've been on my show, we find a way to just sort of chat in a way which I think and hope is interesting to people. So
It's
I
interesting
chose.
to us. I don't know about anybody else, but we have fun.
Well, I chose you, although you didn't choose me. It's embarrassing.
I wanted to-
I'm
I really
embarrassed.
wanted to choose
Since we're so
you.
close, I can tell you.
I wanted
I'm
to
a little
choose you.
embarrassed, but you brought me French fries today, which is
So
very
are we
kind.
okay now?
So I can be bought off for French fries. Maybe that was your way of saying I'm sorry to pick you.
I was preempted.
I think so. You're a step ahead of me. She's very calculated. Here's some fries. Leave me alone. But anyway, my clip features my best friend at work, Wendy. So we'll roll that clip. But it started me to think about the things in New York, because unless somebody comes to visit you, sometimes where you live, you don't often go to things that are special about New York. So I thought I'd ask you about some of the New York attractions, since you lived in the city before you went to Jersey.
Yeah.
And I would say to you, have you been on the Staten Island Ferry?
I don't think so.
So I would say to those watching, hopefully some of these things are things you've done.
Oh, yeah, High
Because there
Line.
are treasure. What's that?
Catherine suggests the High Line, that part of where you the walking part?
Well, that's relatively new, right? That line, which starts in the 20s or 30s, they built this beautiful walking path or area where you can sit along the way, and it's beautifully floral located and zigs through all the way down a bit, right? It's about 15, 20
Have you been?
blocks. I've been. So that's sort of a new treat to do in New York City.
Is the zoo your favorite attraction?
The zoo is my favorite place.
What's your second favorite place?
It'd probably be the ballparks. But,
Not Yankee Stadium.
well, when the Red Sox come to play Yankee Stadium, it's a very exciting place to be, but you're ahead of me a little bit.
Oh, as
Okay.
usual.
Maybe we should change chairs for a few minutes, then we can come back. Because I think you're deflecting a bit from the things that you've done and do. So have you been to Yankee Stadium?
Of course.
And
Loved it.
new Yankee Stadium, old Yankee Stadium?
I've been to both.
There's been 3.
Well, not like Dodger Stadium way back when.
There's a Yankee Stadium that was built in 1920 something.
Okay.
It was remodeled in 1976.
Right.
And then again in 2009.
Okay.
So did you go to the original?
No, it's too young.
What was unusual for those who are baseball fans who are watching, they have what's called Monument Park, where they celebrate the great Yankees, where they have a plaque of Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Mickey Mantle, and those are in a private area called Monument Park. But in the original Yankee Stadium, the monuments were on the field, not in a special area. So you could literally hit a ball that could run and bounce into the monuments, so the players could be running in and out of the monuments to get the ball.
Why did they do that?
I don't think anybody thought the balls would travel that far. It was way out in left center field, but in fact it did happen.
So they had a statue of a player in the middle of the field?
They're not statues, they're monuments.
What's the monument look like? It's like the player, right?
No, a monument is a monument. A statue is a statue.
Really? Like the Washington Monument where it's just like a straight thing?
A
Like
monument is a curved piece of material. It says things on it. It says Babe Ruth born, died, how many years they played. It's not. It's not Babe Ruth sitting there holding the bat.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like there was
No,
like
no.
a statue. of
Statues
Babe
and monuments
Ruth
are
there,
different. Does
like
the Washington
a
Monument
player.
look like George Washington? I think not.
Okay.
Now we're back.
It was great.
I love that clip so much.
I get the feels from it.
Yeah,
Oh, boy,
yeah.
that was a good one. To be continued, right?
Look forward to
To be
it.
continued.
Wendy, what was your clip?
So my clip was with my colleague Allison, who's behind the scenes working the camera. And what I love about it is that Allison is so good at what she does, and we all know her as the social media maven here, but you don't always know about what people's passions are, what they do with their free time, and what they're really skilled at doing. And I view it as such a gift. Allison plays the flute beautifully. And I do think that that's a talent, that's a rare talent. I mean, how hard is that to start playing the flute so eloquently? And I was just really impressed, and it was beautiful music, and I think everyone really enjoyed it. So that was my pick. So let's take a look.
I have to tell you that I also tried to pick that clip as well.
I did
that
too.
was, that was
Yeah.
a real highlight.
So I just want to thank you all for tuning in to our 50th episode. We had so much fun.
Very traditional.
Very, you know, I'm
Very
getting there.
fun. It
We
was
had
good to
a
look
great
back.
time. Yeah, it was fun to look back and enjoy some of our favorite moments and hear from one another. You got the times? And
Somebody emailed me about the show.
We
And-
wouldn't be here without each of you. So thank you for tuning in. We really appreciate that. We appreciate all the great feedback we've gotten. We're looking forward to the next 50 episodes, that is for sure, and all the adventures that it brings. Right?
so here's to the next 50, and thank you guys for being our loyal viewers.